Okay, guys, well, let's see. Michelle, I hope that tonight this makes things super, super easy for you. And I hope that for me, making this YouTube unlisted is going to make me a little bit more comfortable. Then I can just post it later because for some reason that works really good for me. So, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to stop the share. Of course, I have to go over my disclaimer because, everyone has opinions. So, welcome everyone to the Super Easy Beginners class. You guys know this disclaimer, you've seen it a bajillion times, right? Don't trade what you can't afford to lose. This is a high risk activity. Trading can be incredibly lucrative, but can also be incredibly risky. So please do keep in mind that everything we do and say is recorded for future educational purposes. So there's every disclaimer I can think of under the sun. $1 million, today, or the single penny thing. So, for all of you guys who know me, you know me well that I am big on compounding. Not necessarily to get to the elusive 1 million or the 10 million, but what if you could honestly just turn a few $100 into several thousand? What if you could honestly just turn, $1,000 into 5,000, withdrawal, pay your bills, go on with your day? And it doesn't have to take you all day. It doesn't have to take you all year. It doesn't have to take you, all day sitting at your charts. In fact, I feel like the people who do that most end up losing more. So that this is kind of my picture perfect image of what compounding means to me, because it means you don't have to be, Donald Trump, God forbid I said that name, or Paris Hilton, let's give a different one. You can still have incredible results even if you didn't come from, lots and lots of, financial backing. So obviously, for those of y'all who know how to compound, this is the most simplistic written thing you could possibly imagine, but it really is this simple. It's not some super incredibly intelligent, you have to be a rocket scientist to figure it out. This is as simple as follow some basic rules, tweak them every couple of weeks, and continue to do what you're doing. Don't get emotional, don't get in your head, don't over leverage, have a set plan, and boom, ta da, there you go. So, we went through that, and before I go to the charts, I went ahead and I used the cool whiteboard feature on Zoom. So I'm going to come here. I think you guys can see the Zoom, the whiteboard on Zoom, pretty sure. Let me make sure my chat is open too, just to make sure. So here's the deal. Obviously not perfectly written. Obviously this is just the whiteboard. So instead of drawing, hold on, let me draw something. A nice smiley face, we typed it out. So 2 weeks ago, live on YouTube, we looked over 9 trades together. That's live, it's recorded. You can go back and look it up. The time of that was 5:19 at 0300 UTC time, right? We, at that very same time, we looked at 9 trades, okay? And the reason I wrote this out is so you guys can see that wins and losses at the end of the week, month, and year, they're not the big picture. Your rules are. I wrote this out so you guys can see that it's not about just the one trade or the one loss or the one win, which everybody seems to hone in on is the one big win or the one big drop or the one big something. But here's the deal. So 2 weeks ago, we looked at these trades. We can verify that today, being now 2 weeks later. For those of you guys who don't want to waste your time on last week's trades, by all means, we can skip it. Totally up to you. But we talked about odd NZD, and these were all taken from the 1 hour time frame. Wow, I can't write. There you go. 1 hour time frame, we were getting a setup. We said we needed to wait for the break of the fractal, right, to enter. We were waiting for confirmation. These, what, I'm missing one. How did I do that? Whoopsie, sorry guys. Go figure. I went to go move my lasagna real quick for my boys, so I apologize for the one I'm missing. 1, 2, USD CAD, I think is the USD CAD was a buy. That's the one I'm missing, and that one was like 67 pips, but we can verify that too. So needless to say, this is how many pips it moved from the break of the fractal. So after this candle, where we got the confirmation, where we analyzed it together live, right? From the break of the whatever the most recent fractal was, this is how many pips it moved. And when we go to the charts, you can see that I'm reasonably positive every one of these numbers is smaller than the ADR for that pair. Meaning, had you went for one ADR, which we've talked about before, had you went for 50% of one ADR, which is an average daily range, right? You would have not only hit your take profit, but took no losses. So Bitcoin, we talked about potentially buying. It never made a higher high or never continued in the same direction. Same with these other 4, odd CAD, NCAD, GOD, and Bitcoin. Those just never activated. So again, that's all recorded from last week. Please do, 2 weeks ago. Please do due diligence and go back. If you're not sure and you're saying, hey, wait a minute, this chick is crazy. It's totally fine. Go back and see for yourself. So that's how much it moved. Last thing I'll say before we continue is, guys, 227 pips compared to what we're doing on the indices and on the cryptos. Obviously, that sounds like baby money. It sounds like nothing because, well, let's be honest, if you're trading what I'm trading in the mornings, whew, that's a lot faster. So what I want you guys hopefully not to forget and hopefully to realize as you're learning super easy, as you're learning simplicity, is that even 227 pips at a 0.1, right, which does not need a very large account, you can do that in Hugo's way. You can do 10 times that in most AAFX accounts, totally safely without, risking a margin call. That's $227 in 2 weeks' time with 1 hour of work. So, at the end of the month, you'd average around $400 or $500 in extra income. Most people would kill to be able to increase their income by $400 or $500. At a 0.5, that's $1,000. Well, we're just rounding down, right? At a one standard, which is what most traders trade, is a standard in general on Forex pairs, and obviously many more standards. But you're looking at $2,222 based off of 1 hour of chart time 2 weeks ago. So if you guys can just put this through, your process, put this in your schedule where you looked at the charts 1 hour a week, one time, win, lose, or draw, all the good, bad, and ugly that comes with it. What if you could just make that $1,000 every 2 weeks, even if it was just 1,000? Let's say you closed out at the ADR, didn't get the necessarily all those pips, you got half of them, you were using a standard, you're still looking at a passive kind of side hustle income of $2,000 a month, which is not bad at all. Definitely not a bad way to be. So wanted to write all that out so I didn't have to say it and find the numbers or do the bad math in public. Although, go figure, I forgot to add USD JPY, USD CAD, which should be on here too. We did review that and it's on my list, which was also a win. But there you guys have it. Also, for those of you guys who took AMC as part of a trade using Robinhood or Webull, or what is the other one that I don't like the platform of? I forget. TD Ameritrade. Sorry, TD Ameritrade, but the platform is difficult for most of us. So for those of y'all who took that trade, some of us got in at $5. That's a stock pick. That's a very long-term stock pick. Of course, we all know it's all over Reddit. They're saying this, comparable things with GameStop. The founder, the CEO, had quite a few Twitter notes today. They had their meeting. They sold off some shares. It went flat for a while. Needless to say, it was up like 30, 40 bucks per share. And supposedly there's not enough shares. So I'm not going to get into all the technical jargon that is stock talk. But if you're looking for something that where you can just hold and potentially maybe, increase your portfolio, right? Diversity. That is one of my favorites, obviously, in terms of stocks currently. And I plan on holding that for quite a while through the massive swings down, which will come, don't freak. And of course, the ups. Some people are predicting some incredibly high numbers. I'm not on that train. I'm just saying it has a pretty good way to go pre-COVID because, that was one of the top 3 things people missed during COVID. So that's where I'm coming from. But without further ado, let's go ahead and go to the charts. Guys, if you have questions about pairs, I know I've got a boatload of questions in my Telegram, but then we go live. You guys wait to the last hour of the call to finally raise your hand or finally speak up. So this time I'm going to say, hey, got questions, raise your hands now. Put your pairs or your questions in the chat. If you're too shy to come out on the call, totally fine too, but do that now versus the last hour. Because as y'all know from earlier today, I do not plan on being on super long. I've got this head cold thing that is just... I don't know. I feel okay. I'm definitely drugged up on Mucinex. I'm totally drugged up on Mucinex. And for those of y'all who were my morning calls, I had to message Robert Parrish because I was like, seriously, you saw that gap and you couldn't tell me that? I was like, really? Maybe you should have told me that before. But anyways, long story. If y'all weren't there, y'all don't get it. Needless to say, I missed that gap. So, okay, let's go here. Barbara, I honestly did. And that's okay. Like, we're do that every now and then. But I was like, you couldn't have said that beforehand. I picked on him a little. So, okay, guys, let's go to the chart together. I'm going to move everything out of the way. So we already know which trades we went over last week. I will very quickly go through them. I wish that my vertical line would stay on my chart, but every broker is a little different. And some brokers you can't get rid of the darn lines and some of them you can't make them stay. So I am not technically proficient enough to know why this broker doesn't want to stay, but it doesn't. So We know the time on the chart was 519 at 0300, right? We know that's what we're looking for. To speed up our proof of trades from the last 2 weeks, I'm going to legit just make this a little smaller. Candle's a little bit uglier, but you'll still kind of see the picture. You'll see that the trade did not make a lower low to make a stop, valid, and it did not, you'll see how many pips it moved in total. So to start with our list from last week, the trades that we did take, we had odd Cad at the top. I don't know where that's at. There we go. This was odd Cad buy, and we're looking for 519.03. So let's find it together. It's going to be in here somewhere. 519.03. So from this candle, sorry, on odd Cad sell. Am I on the right thing? Odd Cad, am I on the right date? Sell. Okay, let me come on over. Sorry, now I've got that in my head. 519. Go leave it to me. Now I'm looking. There we go. Odd Cad did not enter because we did not make the higher high. So I was like, wait a minute, this doesn't make sense. Bitcoin never activated. Odd Cad never activated. So now we're going on. I had the wrong list in front of me. So odd NZD from, again, these are the calls we went over last week, 2 weeks ago, in order, at least I thought was in order. B, so odd NZD was a buy on 519. We're looking for the 0300 candle. So from this candle, right, I'm not going to zoom in because it's going to take us too long to find the trades if we do it that way. Okay, that was this candle. We needed the next candles to make a higher high, in which this case they did. So from here, the next candle that made a higher high was in here. This moved a total of 43-ish, 45-ish pips, right? Not a bad way to be. You'll notice that going for like half of the ADR, keep in mind that obviously went up quite a bit this week. So going for the ADR, or what the average daily range was 2 weeks ago, would have been 40, 45 pips, because obviously this week is adjusted, right? It's quite a bit higher. So this is a little skewed. That's okay. That's not bad. So you guys have heard me talk about going for 50% of this number for years. It's a really good target to say, hey, when we hit that number, let's protect, let's close out a portion, let's drag our stop loss into profit. If you had done that, you would have won this trade. So Cad Jpy was the next one. This was my favorite one from last week or 2 weeks ago. Cad Jpy, we had to sell. It went for a total of 57 pips. No, this is really zoomed in, guys. But this broker won't let me. Oh, sorry. So this is the candle, right? It does come up this far, but never makes a higher high, right? So in total, that's 68 pips. Obviously, we're not measuring it from there. We're measuring it from the break of the fractal. So this moved a total of 68 pips. Again, the numbers a few weeks ago was 60 some odd pips, right? Had you went for half of the ADR or locked profit at half of the ADR, like we've talked about, like we've taught, better yet, the whole ADR, you would have won that trade as well. Depending on your lot size, you have just made enough money to buy, potentially a used car. And if you guys can see that, then we're definitely getting somewhere. So EuroCAD was the next one. This moved for a total of 66 pips. We're looking for the 519 candle. We're just showing proof of the trades. Not to say that the system is perfect or my trades or anybody else's. I feel like anybody who pitches, the whole 100% perfect thing all the time anyways, is doomed to, get a lesson. We always end up putting our foot in our mouth. So this one was breaking that fractal right then. The next candle that makes a higher high is here. The 400 candle. This one moved a total of 6,200, 62 pips in total. That's EuroCAD. So we've got 56 to 66 is what I've got written down, right? That's not a bad way to be. So again, this one was moving much faster. This one has definitely slowed down and consolidated a bit. Still, going for half of the ADR, you would have hit that, protected, and been totally fine. This is how I found success in terms of just managing these kind of simplicity, or at the time triple arrow trades, was just staying with something consistent and duplicatable per pair. We can't just say, hey, I want 30 pips per any pair, because every pair moves a little different. So Euro Chef was also on the list. That one went move. I've got 59 pips written down. We'll see how that is for 519. 1903. I'm working on it. Really testing my coordination here. 519.03 is here. We break that fractal in and around this candle, right? That's 47-ish pips. I'm guessing I was measuring from this, already broke that fractal. So either way, hitting even just the from 2 weeks ago, because it's higher than it was, right? So kind of taking this middle range number, had you went for 50% of that or all of that, not only did you protect and close your pips in profit, but now again, you're up. GBP odd never activated, NZD CAD never activated, and then USD CAD was the last one, and that one I had started too, that one, and Cad Jpy. So USD CAD 519, just to kind of show what's possible. I wish we could zoom in on the candles without taking way too much time. 519 from 3 coming up here, all the way kind of where that fractal is. Don't be silly, head. Moved a total of 65-ish pips. Not a bad way to be. That's 5 winning trades. So of the trades that entered, guys, that's 100%. That won't happen every week. It definitely won't. We want it to. We definitely want it to, obviously, all the time. It's not going to happen. So NZD CAD and then the other 5 didn't activate. If you need verification of that, please do that on your time. So let's spend some time. I'm going to go ahead and toss that. You guys, again, can look at the 2 recordings and see what you think and feel about that. But today, being June 1st, on the 300 candle, here's the pairs I'm looking at if you want to write them down. Again, no guarantees, no promises. We still need to wait for confirmations to enter these trades. These are all based off of the 1 hour with the exception of gold. It's based off of the 30-minute. But I will say them out first if you want to write them down, and then we'll get through them together. First and foremost is USD CAD buy, GBP USD sell, NTD USD sell, gold 30-minute time frame on this one sell, odd CAD buy, Euro odd, I never trade this pair, sell, Euro JPY sell, GBP odd sell, GBP JPY sell, NZD JPY sell, and Ripple, when it stinking finishes breaking out, buy. And that's on multiple time frames, but that's again another story. So starting from the top, guys, let's take a look. We have a perfect 1 hour signal, right? And look where price is currently right now. For this purpose, we're going to zoom in and actually look at some candles. Beautiful kind of impulse. We have yet to make a higher high from where we got the signal. Right now, we're coming down to retest this 50. All the USD pairs went crazy. A couple of them had gaps. I didn't even notice that. Go figure. I wasn't trading and I was sick. So there's that. But what are we waiting on? Beautiful kind of entry. We can wait till we break this fractal, right? We're currently retesting the 50. So you have a multitude of ways to kind of figuring out where and when to take this trade. Obviously, if it breaks this lower low, you're out of this trade, which on this pair, based off of these numbers, it's kind of a big stop loss because see this big candle? It's bigger than you would want, at least on this pair. So if we zoom in a little bit at the structure, price has been sitting here for quite a while. You kind of almost have this triple bottom formation, right? We've officially made this really strong push down, railroad bottom, push right back up. We know we have some definite room. Can we get all the way back up to here? I don't know. Doubtful. But even from where price is currently at, even if we come down to retest the previous low, that's a 200 pip move. Not to say I would hold this one that long because that would be a lot of margin to eat up for this slow moving of a pair. But for like a passive kind of investment strategy, I would be taking an entry at the break of the confirmation or based off of a smaller time frame confirmation using the golden strategy, and I would have multiple take profits all the way up. As we broke new levels, I would be looking. This would kind of be my final target is anywhere around this zone. So that's what I'm looking at on that pair. Potential buy setup. It also has 4 hour kind of confirmation as well. It's just been failing. It consistently is failing. So even if we end up only trading to the zone, so even if we only trade to the zone from the break, not current price, so from the break in the zone, you still have a pretty safe kind of half of the ADR for sure. At half of the ADR, if you're protecting this trade, you won't hardly ever lose. And when you do, it will be rare and it won't be so hard. So that is that one. Let me go to my chat to, sorry, let me move this out of the way, y'all. 1 second. Kurt, Robinhood deposits immediately for most people. It was 26. Yep, it's already at 40ish now. Wait for a pullback. Like, well, first off, again, in terms of that one, it's being powered by the mouths that be. And I'm gonna say that again. It's being pushed by the mouths that be, and some of the mouths are saying, 10 grand. Do I see that? I mean, I'm not one of those jump on the bandwagon people, but is it possible? Sure. And here's the reality: at some of these people's entry, if I got in at $5 for none of the reasons listed above. I got in because I was buying some stocks during COVID, and they weren't very expensive, and I was like, the movies are definitely going back up once everything opens back up, and the original stock price was like 33. I figured five, I'd make 3 to 400% on my return. That's worth my time. So it still has quite a bit of room to be still worth yours. And odds are it'll pull back anyways. So we'll definitely pull back a little bit. But USD CAD buy. Let's go to GU real quick. GU sell. Quite a few things have been selling today. We know that this was a huge kind of drop. I'm unaware or uninformed on the news that supposedly drove these drops. However, again, keeping things very, very simple, we have a signal. We did make a lower low. Currently, we're pushing back up. So there's quite a few ways you can handle this. You can say, hey, once we break this low again, I'm taking this trade. You can say when we get closer to the 50, I'm dropping to a smaller time frame and using the golden strategy to get a tighter entry. Because again, anywhere near 50% of this ADR is a really healthy target that is beyond reasonably safe, even when these are not on. So even when they repaint and you took it at the break, you still have plenty of room to just get the ADR and let it continue, right? I think that's the lesson overall, is how to not lose the most of the time, right? I don't always need to catch the long-term swing on this strategy. I just need to catch enough moves the right way to make something. So needless to say, huge kind of consolidation. We've been consolidating for quite a while. We're failing to make our higher highs. For those of you guys in the morning class, we're at weekly, monthly levels of support, and we've just been playing around. So this has some room to come down. Again, same concept with USD CAD. Are we going to come all the way down to here? Probably not. I mean, what is that, 173 pips? It's possible. It's definitely possible. Actually, that's a perfect target because prices already came down and retested that area. So we broke above, price came down and retested where price stopped before. Right here. That's already technically happened. So if none of these moves were enough to push it higher and finally break that monthly structure, we'd be looking to break a previous low, which for sure I think would mean this, potentially would mean this, to break all the way down to here before we did get that nice push back up. So again, going with conservative over aggressive from the break, not even from where price is currently at, to get half of that ADR is so easy, right? That's done. So even if we fail to break structure, you have protected half of that trade. Not a bad way to be, not at all. So NZD, USD, if you have any questions on these pairs, stop me and I will try to slow down a little bit. Hey, Michelle, you got a question for me?
No, sorry.
You're okay. You can come out and tell me what it is you're feeling and thinking. I promise, anytime. Okay, so NZD, USD, notice again before I continue with the rest of these pairs, remember, just because we have 5 JPY pairs on here does not mean you should take 5 JPY trades. Just because, I'm not supposed to say you all the time, just because I have 5 USD trades on here does not mean I'm going to willingly enter all 5 USD trades. I'm going to analyze all of these USD pairs and say, okay, which are my favorite 2 to 3, depending on the level of availability, I have in that account based off of my margin, based off of my leverage, based off of, my account size, and of course the length of time I've been trading, my accuracy, among other things. So this is the third USD pair, and there still are just one more, because I guess it's gold. So please keep in mind, you cannot take all of these. I cannot take all of these more directly. I've done it before, most of us have, and it's a recipe for a disaster. So NZD USD for a time frame, you can see this kind of upward channel forming. We're in the center of it now. This is my least favorite of the USD trades, personally. But is there potential? Sure. Mostly just because this has a smaller ADR. So we've got this beautiful signal. We've already come back and retested where price stopped, right? I'm going to zoom in and get some candles now. We do have a beautiful double top that's already played out, right? Prices already came and retested the center of that M. That's already done. We did kind of come, we have failed to make a lower low. This impulse wasn't strong enough to continue us, and we failed to break the lower low. So we definitely have a little bit more selling power. When exactly we get that, we can't say for sure if it's going to continue pushing up a smidge first or come straight down. So just going off of kind of the break of either of these two fractals, do we have enough to get half of the ADR? We do. Coming over to where prices stopped before, that's too easy. So zooming out to see more of the picture, even to come down, prices already kind of retested this area, and this wasn't enough to push it up. So the odds are we're looking to break this area, which means we have enough room to get half of the ADR without a lot of stress, without a lot of issue, without a lot of drama or feeling. That's 34, that's half. All the way in the previous structure. So we'll see. That's what I would be doing on this pair. This, again, the least of my favorite USD pairs, but notable because it has some room still to push. Let's see. Gold. Gold is beautiful. Gold has been pushing up, 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 up. People are, calling out the numbers for what they think it's going to go to. For conversation purposes, I'm going to pop up to the day time frame to show you this big, big, beautiful move. Came down. Let's figure out what day this happened. I'm pretty sure I know. That's August 2020. We finally saw kind of some push down after all the COVID sorted up. We have yet to kind of make a lower low. Not to say that this little move that we're counting on right now is going to give it to us. The odds are it's not. If you took this trade, remember, first off, this is a 30-minute time frame. You'd be taking it on. You'd be taking it on based off of this M, right? And when we come to double tops and M formations, there's a multitude of ways of doing it, right? You've already kind of missed this breakout trend line trade, where if you were to draw a trend line right here, we broke out, we retested it on this candle, and it's already dropped. So that entry is too late in terms of taking the second leg of the M or W. So now you have a couple of options. You can wait to the break of the middle, which in my opinion is too late, particularly with this wick, no good. And of course, where we're sitting right now, we're sitting at the 250. We're already breaking the 30-minute fractal. So you can say, hey, I want this early. I know kind of what I'm doing. That's 700, well, 70-ish pips. Sorry for my inaccurate ability to count after dealing with indices and crypto so much. So that's not quite half of the ADR right here yet. But either way, coming down to the center, you're at more than half. So even if we only kind of came in that mid-range point, that's approximately half without even breaking the center. Now, if we do break the center, I would either A, be looking to hold my trade, or B, looking for a re-entry. And if I were doing that, I would be looking for the measured move. And if I'm using the measured move, I'm taking the smaller of the two sides, which in this case is this one. I'm not going for exact pip counts. We're winging it, guys. That's about 300. So my overall target on this trade would be all the way down just shy of this structure, just shy of this right here. Now, is there enough going on economically to give us that big of a move? I'm not so sure about that. But if we got the technical analysis confirmation to do so, I would be following that trade. Otherwise, I'm looking for this very short term, very safe 50 to 75 pips. Of course, if we can continue, that's great. I'd be looking for more entries or looking to milk this all the way down. So that's what I'd be seeing on this pair. So that's gold, beautiful entry. We retested already where price stopped, and now we're continually moving down. So I don't want to wait until the break of this. In my opinion, that's a bit late, considering your next target would be here, but still not a bad potential entry. Otherwise, I'd be looking kind of this candle continues to close. This is a bullish candle right now. Let's see, bullish, and we wicked off. If the candle closes below the 2 o'clock candle, then I'd say, okay, I'm in this. I would be protecting, on gold particularly, kind of like with the other faster moving instruments like an an index. I wouldn't be waiting necessarily for 50% of the ADR, particularly not because we're on the 30-minute time frame. So in this case, on the 30-minute time frame or these lower ones, you could be going for something like 25% of the ADR. You could be going for something like, hey, I'm just looking to the next structure. Is that enough room? 25% would be a good way to be on these smaller time frames for sure. So that is gold. Gosh, I have a lot of pairs written down. Holy moly. Okay, odd Cad, of course, has pushed a little bit more since I last saw it. That's totally okay. Oh, wrong time frame. Let's go to the hour. Again, beautiful kind of W formation, right? We're breaking above the center of this. We're currently wicking down. That's not super attractive. We get it. That's part of real trading. But what I'd be looking for is, I'm going to come zoom out a little bit. Sorry, guys. Not only do we have a double bottom here, we also have a bigger, large one here. So if price does continue to break past this fractal, and on this pair particularly, I definitely need it to break above this. I don't necessarily need the earlier entry because this is a slower moving pair. I need it to break here. Again, going for half of the ADR. Whoopsie, sorry guys. For giving you vertigo. Making you dizzy. That's 41 pips. That's already half of your ADR. You're good. Now, if we get the full measurement of this kind of double bottom, that longer time frame, huge kind of formation, now we've got a target that's going to be somewhere in and around testing here. Actually, I think I measured to here earlier. But for conversational purposes, let's measure together. Smaller side of the double bottom is 100 pips, right? So that's 500. That's all the way up to, well, that's from the break. That makes more sense. That would be all the way up to here from that break. That's quite a bit of a ways to go. Are we going to get that much on OddCAD? It's possible. Guaranteed? Absolutely not. I'm still looking at that kind of safe break of the fractal, so measuring from the break of the fractal. Again, not to be super, super specific and crazy about the numbers. You're only looking for some of this move. Everyone who tries to catch all of this ends up going broke. So from the bottom of the fractal, half of your ADR that's in the bag, where price has stopped before, anywhere in these two zones, you've got your next 100 pips. Not a bad way to be. And if you're going off of this entire measured move, you're coming all the way in and around here without even having to break structure. So a lot of potential on this trade. Keep in mind though, this has been, how do you say, a problematic trade for many for a while. Huge drop, which was just relentless. Pull back, huge drop. We're waiting for this to kind of pull back to where price stopped before and then continue. How do you know which of the fractals to use? Repack, most of the time, it's the most recent one. So in general, as a rule of thumb, use the most recent one. So that we can only go off of what we're seeing now, right? This is the three. Oh, that's the 4 hour. I was like, that's not possible. Let's try that again. Let me not put my foot in my mouth. See how that line disappeared? It's so annoying. So, so annoying. So this is the 3 o'clock candle, as in 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, right? If price closes above this, right, this fractal, this is the most recent one, or if price makes a higher high from this candle, okay, you'd be looking for an entry. So this is the candle we're doing our analysis on, right? And this is the only one we can use. We can't go backward. We can't go forward. We can only go off of right now. So as of this candle on all these charts we're looking at, the most recent fractal on the time frame you're on, there will be kind of extenuating circumstances, in which case, well, no, you've got a 4 hour structure where you should look at and pay attention to other things. But in general, it's the time frame you're on, and it's usually the hour, right? It's the most recent one. So if this candle, the odds are we're going to close with a wick to the top, push down a little bit, and then kind of break above here. Or if the next candle does continue, you're in this trade, right? So that's odd Cad by Euro odd. I don't trade this pair personally, and for anybody who wants to, I would highly recommend you using AFX because this is the worst pair to hold overnight. It's a very expensive pair to just sit on. Very, very. Not because of the reasons you think, it's because that swap fee is insane. So definitely, definitely please know that if you're going to be holding this trade for multiple days, it gets expensive. This one's the only one where I can say it's a measurable, a measurable amount of pips. Okay, so Euro odd, 1 hour time frame. Again, beautiful kind of double top formation. All of this consolidation, nothing is happening. It's just kind of sitting still, right? We have our signal. We pushed back up. failed to make a higher high, came down, failed to make a lower low, have just been bouncing around. The candle we're currently on just broke the most recent fractal. The candle we're currently on is the 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time candle. I would be looking for this to enter. Again, my first target on Forex pairs, if I'm using the 1 hour time frame, 50% of the ADR, since I have to talk to the masses, or no, since I get to talk to the masses of people, and I don't know where the person listening to this is at in their trading journey, and I need some basic target that's going to help them be potentially profitable, this is a really healthy place to start. So, can you get it on this pair? Yeah, very, very easily. Half of that kind of mid grade number, it's 87, 75. You've got that even without breaking structure, right? That's too easy. So even to come down, if we're going for the measured move, you've got even way more. So from the bottom of the M to the top on the small side, you've got approximately 100-ish pips, which would not even be breaking structure just yet. You'd be coming all the way down to here. So that's your odd sell. Tio, come on out. You have a question?
Hey, good afternoon. Thank you. I'm in Uncle P's class, and I guess I'm trying to learn what you teach. In the Signals group, when I become a Signals member, I get to come to your classes.
Yes, sir. In the mornings.
Okay. Are your classes every day, or is it certain days of the week?
Tuesday and Thursday. We usually do classes Tuesday and Thursday at 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. In general, they're about like legit 2 or 3 hours long. And we have a good time. We take some trades, but we do go over a lot more deeper trading knowledge. This is only simplicity. So tonight, a couple times a month, looking for some simplicity trades, not a lot of technical jargon or conversation, not a lot of interaction either. But we're just looking for like the most beginner level stuff. But in those classes, we try to have, for better and worse, conflicting,
Mhm.
differing perspectives. We entertain all the thought processes of the chart, and we all learn from that. So it's just a kind of a different setup. It has a different strategy as well, and we're mostly trading
Mhm.
really fast moving stuff. So really, really.
And I'm familiar. I tried to use the fractals on my trading at one point in time, so I'm kind of familiar with it. Um, you guys always trade on the 1 hour, or you analyze on the 1 hour and then drop down to the lower times?
For the morning calls.
Yes.
For the morning calls, no. Like, so lately we've had a flux
Okay.
of new people. So there's several new companies that might be kind of joining together to make a really big, what we call We the People. In general, honestly, Tia, we were using like the 1 minute and the five. But since we have such a large
Okay.
fluctuation of people kind of coming in and out right now, I'm honing in on that 15-minute, which does mean a longer term trade, many, many more thousands of pips in your favor. But I'm not going to fib to you. This morning, for example, that also meant a big, 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 publicly admitted, uh, pip against you. So that was the first loss we've
Right.
taken in several weeks. But and again, if you leverage right, it's not the end of the world. If you learn the strategy, you can do the same thing on the 5 minute. I just can't lead that many people on a 1 minute time frame
Hmm.
for a 1,000 pip drop like in 2 minutes. And some of those people didn't even know
Yeah.
to enter yet. So yeah.
Now I get it. All right. So I have to get a part of the Signals group to get your class, right?
Yes, sir, that's correct.
All righty. Thank you.
You are welcome. Okay, guys, we're going down this list. Sorry, I really didn't plan on picking this many trades, but I was just going through like I would if it wasn't, if I was doing this for me. So I'm trying to do this every 2 weeks to show you what's possible even with simplicity. Because if I'm going to be the poster child that says you can literally make money with almost any strategy or trading style, I want to prove that. I want to put my money where my mouth is and say, okay, let's make it happen. Let's take something that somebody else is maybe not quite understanding. Maybe they are mismanaging. Maybe they are uh, a lot of other things going into it without getting into nitty gritty detail. So how do we make this work, right? Well, fine. Take a demo account, take a 1 hour account, take a few $100, and try the same thing that I'm doing. See if you can do it if you manage it appropriately. So But to continue, Euro odd, like I said, you need a good broker if you're going to trade that pair. Euro JPY, keep in mind JPYs can be a little vindictive. They don't play around. Huge impulse up. This was not enough to continue, right? This has not been retested yet. Personally, I'd be looking for this trade to come back right before the breakout. We did kind of make a spring down and a spring up and a spring down. We're now waiting for this to kind of continue. So to hone in a little bit, let's go look at our simplicity signal. We got our signal. The next candle did make a lower low. So for me, this would be a valid trade. The next candle, again, from the time we got the signal, already made a lower low. That means right now I'm getting a better entry if I enter now. I'd have a tighter stop loss. However, if you want, you can kind of wait to the break of this fractal or the break of this fractal to say, hey, I'm going to take this trade. Again, the concept of 50% of that ADR, you can average these numbers. You can take the top one and the bottom one. You can tell there's been some pretty big fluctuations. So I don't want to dare tell you to only take the top or the bottom. I'd rather you average or pick one, pick like the last week or the last 4 weeks and use that number consistently because you won't know what you're doing right or wrong if you flop around too much. So kind of consistently, let's use the 4-week average for more prices where we're at. Sorry, for more prices currently at. 30-ish pips is only here, guys. That's it. And you want a little bit of room to cover your spread. That's it. That's well within range. That's still not even coming down to retest here, better yet here. And on my final target would be in and around here. Now, if we do break this zone, okay, if we break kind of this structure, I'd be waiting for the pullback and for the continuation to actually sell off a little bit. Because if I go to the bigger time frame, this is definitely kind of we're needing that pullback. And we don't just trade against the trend because we think it needs a pullback. We're trading against this trend because we have a reversal-based system that is telling us there's a potential pullback coming. So definitely don't buy just on the willy-nilly middle of this candle. You do need confirmation, right? You need confirmation to tell you to start or to take this sell. I know it's a better entry here, but still go down to the baby time frame and look for the entry on the small time frame to kind of get the quicker entry or wait for the break. 50% of the ADR, maybe choose to use the 4-week average. It's going to give you the most consistent kind of one across the board and then come all the way down. Even only going for one ADR versus half of the ADR, not a bad way to be. So, Euro let's see, GBP odd. These pairs pip counts are crazy. I wrote this one down. I'm not in love with this. Oh, thank you, Kat, if you're listening. Thank you. Okay, so here's the deal. GBP odd, I'm not as much in love with the current entry on this pair because of the drop that we just saw. So I zoomed in to make it really ugly for you guys. We have this big move, and it is big for this pair. So for me, from where we got the signal, okay, on this candle, right, it's already moved half of the ADR. It's already moved that much, guys. We want to wait for the pullback. Now, are we guaranteeingly going to get the pullback? No, it can take off without us, and that's a bad way to be. It's hard, but it's okay. So you've got a few options on this one too. I'll scroll back out, make this ugly. This has some room to kind of come down. Double top formation. We're almost at paying for that double top already. So you really do want to wait for the reconfirmation of this. So this one is a potential setup, sure, but you have to wait for the break of a fractal, or you have to wait for one of the baby time frames or the golden strategy to tell you, hey, take a 5-minute entry, go for 50% of the ADR, and know what you're doing. Because if you just take it here, we might come down enough to get you your close, right? Just taking it where price is currently at, give or take. We might come down enough just to get your close. But we also could come down partially, come all the way back up, really hurt your feelings, and then drop. So just know that's what can happen. If you can't handle the feelings getting hurt in this process, wait for a better entry. Very simple. So you're saying when it comes into the zone and out of the zone, that's the signal? I don't understand your question. Can you rephrase that question, please? And if you do, I'll answer it before I move on to a different pair. Sorry, I'm muting you guys to cough and clear my throat. You guys can all blame my daughter. Lovingly, of course. She's passing around something, but everybody in Florida has got this everybody I know, bunches of families have got this like head cold thing, and it's held on forever. So I don't understand when there is a signal. So you have simplicity, right, Repuck? Okay. So if you're using the 1 hour time frame, first off, let me put my disclaimer in to say that nothing I'm doing is meant to contradict what Uncle P does. So Pat has his own style, his own method. He is successful in his right. So what he's doing is his thing. I'm just telling you how I use the simple system and how I would take entries. So disclaimer aside, let me zoom in and take a look. So we had this buy signal, obviously played out. Next few candles went in the favor, went out perfect. I think that was one of our winning trades, whatever. So this is our sell signal. We broke past the 50. We made a lower low. You said you don't understand, then you said you do understand. So this is our signal, right? Our next candle has already continued and broke out here. Even this candle kind of came and retested 50% of that breakout, which if you know much about candles, that's not a bad entry in and of itself. But we're trying to show you that you don't have to know anything about candles to be successful. So the indicator gives you the signal, right? It's programmed to give you a signal. That technically happens on this candle. The next candle is making a lower low. That's this one actually. Okay. That is my signal. So if I saw this or had an alert for this, that is when I would get in. But since I'm not in the past, I'm only in the present, right? I'm analyzing this using the signal that we have, saying, okay, so maybe I was sleeping or maybe I was, with my kiddo or something, right? What do I do if I come to my chart, the signal has happened? How do I analyze this trade? So I would come here and I would say, okay, I have a sell signal. We broke out. How much has this moved? Does this have room to continue to move in my favor? Are we looking at structure to the left, right? So now let's come in and zoom in a little. This was a perfect setup if we had got it on time. So like if this call was however many hours ago, I would be telling you, sell, baby, sell, baby, sell. But now it's more of that maybe baby situation. And the reasons why is because A, it's already moved a great deal from where we got that signal, right? We got that signal on this candle, right? Somewhere around here. It's already moved almost an entire ADR. That means that trade is already paid for. And I'm in no means, I'm in by no means saying it can't move multiple ADRs. It totally can. I'm simply saying that taking a sell entry right now that's 13 hours late and an entire ADR late without waiting for a pullback is you're asking to kind of accept the drawdown. And like we discussed, that drawdown may or may not equal to approximately, 80 pips on this pair. So if your account is big enough to, so if you're trading a standard, right? If your account is big enough to hold an 8,800 pip, whatever drawdown, then you can handle that pair. But if you're trading a 0.01, your account needs to be able to, well, that one's too easy. But if you're trading a 0.1, your account has to have enough margin and leverage and availability to withstand this much drawdown. Otherwise, you cannot take this trade. Does that help you kind of clarify a little bit? Okay, cool. Just do your due diligence because we can't just take the signal. And let's be honest, some of these signals happen when we're not home, even if we have the alerts. Some of these happen when, we have to eat, we have to shower, right? In theory, we're driving somewhere, we have somewhat of a life, right? So sometimes we get the signal and we're not physically present, even if we wanted to be, to come and analyzing it. Sorry, let's annotate, clear all that. There you go. So this one, I'm going to put not a star next to it. I'm going to put a question mark next to it. Okay. Just so we kind of know the difference. This one, we would be waiting on this one, kind of really waiting for the pullback. Waiting for the pullback or checking a smaller time frame. So before I even took a breakout, I would want to pull back on this one. And I wanted you guys to kind of know that. So, but to move along, GBP, JPY. Come on, baby. Oh, I know why. My annotate is on. It's drawing dots for you guys. There you go. GBP, JPY. Beautiful kind of drop again. Huge impulse, right? We've already come down and we kind of quasi retested this area. So again, I kind of analyzed this before we were getting this full pullback. Similar concept to what we just talked about with GBP odd. This was a beautiful trade when it happened. We can't go back to when it happened though. So we can only analyze what we're seeing right now. So first things first, let's zoom out and look at the bigger picture. This has some room, right? This has plenty of room to kind of come back and retest. Huge impulse, right? Odds are we can edge around a little bit and potentially make a lower low, okay? Definitely there's potential in this trade, but how do we take it from where price is currently at? So from where price is currently at, impulses happen. Currently we're pushing up. Odds are we're going to come back in and around this area, okay, to retest this area before it broke out. So by then, again, going off of this area, this is the 3 o'clock candle, the one we're currently on, right? The 3 o'clock UTC time candle. You can wait for the break of this fractal, which is already, again, half of the ADR away, or we can let this kind of keep pushing up, right? And say, okay, we're going to go to a smaller time frame. And once we are at this area, we're looking for an entry somewhere around there. So again, kind of comparable to GBP odd, this has already played out a big portion, but there's still room to move on this one. In fact, there's more room on this one than GBP odd. So even kind of saying, hey, we're at a safer spot now, waiting from the break. Do we have room? Sorry for the movement of my Apple mouse. Even from the break down to previous structure, that's 87 pips. So half of that, anywhere in this target area, right before the breakout, that's a really good target. That's a really healthy, probable target. Mark my words, check in 2 weeks. I can't bet on it, obviously. I can't promise anything, but a very, very healthy target after this candle. And I can't swear that this isn't going to pop around, make a higher high, pop around, mess with everyone's emotions. But a really likely point that this is going to hit before we come back to this chart, or before I come back to this chart more accurately, is this right here. Right here. This area. It's 154.217. So when we take this entry, again, totally up to you. For me and mine, I would say, hey, impulse has happened. I want a smaller tight entry. I don't want to wait till it comes all the way down to here. That's how I would trade this personally. So just your kind of heads up on that one. Two more, NZD-JPY. Again, too many of the same pairs, guys. You can't take, I can't take, I won't take that many of the same pairs. We have to pick and choose what pairs you take. You can't just be in every USD pairs because those are the ones that are moving. I know other people do it. I know some people look really successful doing it, and the odds are they can make a boatload of money, but I assure you, it takes one day to give all of that 6 months worth of money back. One day to give all of those 6 months worth of money back. So
What did they say? When there's smoke?
there's fire.
Yes, ma'am.
Seriously. Well, Derek would know, okay? He's been there. He's learned. He would definitely know. So NZD, guys, JPY, nice kind of impulse move up. We are failing to kind of continue. So like the other pairs, the other NZD, unlike like the other JPY pairs, if y'all cannot tell, I am tongue-tied all the way. Huge impulse up, made a slightly higher high. We came down and we're officially kind of making lower lows. So once we zoom back in, we're going to see that price is currently at where price stopped before. Beautiful kind of potential entry in this area. Again, same concept, bringing it down to where price broke out all the way into here. That's 80-ish pips. You're protecting after half of that ADR. That's a stinking perfect trade. When you decide to enter this is up to you. You have the break of the fractal. Okay, that's a really safe way to be. The break of the most recent fractal past the 3 o'clock candle. Okay. Or of course, if you're more comfortable in trading, you can go to a smaller time frame, use the golden strategy, wait for this to finish pushing back, take a 5-minute or a 15-minute entry. It's going to probably save you, give or take 20 pips, depending on what that 20 pips is worth to you. And last but not least, we will at least analyze Ripple because this has been my baby. I love this pair for better and worse. It has been good to me and it is fooling around. So 1 hour time frame. Oh, who had their hand raised? Myron?
Yeah,
Hey, Myron, how are you?
I'm good, Miss Jenna. I know I'm kind of late to the class, but I did have a question about these 4-hour time frames. I got a bunch of arrows on my 4 hours, but I don't know how to take those.
You don't know how to take those?
No, I don't know how to take that 4 hours. it's so slow, and then I'm not sure if it's just like a fake arrow or a real one. I'm more comfortable taking trades on a lower time frame, but I do want to learn to take advantage of them on a higher time frame. I got arrows, but I just don't know how to take them.
Okay, so
But they're all on the JPY pads, like the ones that you're going through. A bunch of them got arrows on the 4 hour.
okay, so let's go to the last one I just was at, NZG JPY. Let's keep it simple, right?
Okay, I'm with you.
4 hour time frame. No, well, what are your settings on simplicity?
See, I have a trend setting on one of my platforms, but on the one that is set to 13, the arrow is not there yet.
So you have the simplicity set at 1, as in the number 1?
Yeah, the trend setting. Yeah, I have one of my platforms to catch it early, and it's set on 1
Why?
to catch it early, or earlier entry. When I go back and look in the history, I like where the arrow sits on the 1 trend setting versus the 13 or the 20. It always just seems to sit at the top. But if I could time my entries better, then I think it'll give me a better entry. So I'm trying to learn to work with it. But like I said, I got these arrows on my 1 trend, not my 13. So it's probably irrelevant at this point.
Okay, so you might not like me, but I'm gonna be authentic, okay? Ready?
Mm-hmm.
So I think the worst decision and the worst thing you can possibly aim to do is try to time the top and time the bottom.
You said try to time the top from the bottom.
It's
Okay.
people have been doing it, and of course, some and people I love, actually, people I really, really like, they post a screenshot of this wicked entry that is like right here, right? They post this entry where they got in, like, let's just say right here. And of course, then we see it sell down, or they post this picture of where they got in the trade right here, right? And
Yeah.
that's appealing, that's sexy. Of course, everybody wants that, right? The thing
Yeah.
is, they
Mm-hmm.
don't post the 27 other pictures where they thought this was the top and it's, this was the end, they sold, they lost. This was the end, they sold, they lost. This was the end, they sold, they lost. They don't show. I just don't think it's duplicatable. So to really simplify it, I know very few people who effectively time tops and bottoms
Okay.
consistently enough to withdraw. So this is a reversal system. I totally get that. Obviously, I'm up here talking about it. I support it, right? So is it possible to trade reversals? It is, but you have to be very aware of the fact that when you're trading reversals in general, you're against the trend. When you're trading reversals in general, for
Mm-hmm.
me and my styles, like, and you might not like. So if you say, "Hey, look, I don't see eye to eye with Jenny. I don't like the way that sees things," that's totally understandable. But for me, even if I got a signal down here, I want more confirmation. So I'm not looking to take the counter trend trade up, even with this impulse move. When I know it's got to come retest, I don't want this trade. I want the confirms trade. And right now, seeing this. Uh, you're seeing
So
this eyes that say these are the only dots that happen. The odds are on a 1 minute setting, you probably got 58 other signals. I
okay.
almost guarantee you that.
Yeah.
So we agree that 58 other times in this time frame that probably happened.
Yeah. Yeah. We agree.
Okay. So that means all you're doing is like you're giving yourself white hair for literally no reason.
So you recommend I leave it on 13?
Like on it, my recommendation would be take off the alerts. So you're using the scanner or no?
Yeah, I use the scanner.
Okay. So if you were my guy, right, and I was gonna help walk you through, hey, I can help you learn to trade. I would tell you, okay, you want to use the 4 hour, then you're using only the 4 hour or only the 1 hour. I would
Okay.
tell you to pick your X amount of pairs. On the 4 hour, you could probably pick 12 because it's a little slower. But
Mm-hmm.
for the 4 hour, I would say no more than 12. Um, on the 4 hour, I would tell you that once you get the signal, if price does continue in the right direction, you're taking that trade. And here's what I need you to know is if you took a 4-hour trade, this was in April. This is 248 candles later. This is the end of May. So
Shit.
literally 2 months.
Yeah, I don't think I'm on a 4-hour chart. I don't think a 4-hour chart is my speed.
Okay, and that's okay. So my goal is like, and if you came to me and said, "Hey Jen, I need the 4-hour," I will help you see it your way. So it's in no way is meant to convince you one side or another, but if you're deciding to take the 4-hour, what
Mhm,
you're agreeing to is almost always a pullback because a 4-hour impulse means you got to have a pullback. If this isn't honestly a 4-hour reversal, the pullback
mhm.
is imminent. How do you say that word? Imminent? Am I saying that wrong?
Imminent.
Imminent, yeah, something like that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
You know what I mean, okay?
Yeah, I know what it is.
It's coming, whether you like it or not. So you have to be prepared for that. And honestly, even on the 1-hour time frame, if these every other 2-week calls are not evidence enough that you can come to your chart once or twice a week, take a few trades, win, lose, and draw. I think the first week we did it, the second recording, YouTube was being stubborn, so it's not public. It's saved to the cloud, but we had like 2 or 3 losses and like 7 wins. The second time we did it, we had 5 wins and no losses, right? I promise you in 2 weeks we might have a couple of losses, but at the end of this, like I guess that's a 6-week period since we started really calculating this and docking, keeping track of it. What you're gonna find is even trading 2 hours, like in 2 weeks, it's really possible in the 1 hour. Getting all those alerts, all that's doing for you, Myron, is making you get in, get out, get in, get out, look again, turn around, over leveraged,
Mhm.
it's just mind numbing.
That's it. Yeah, you're right.
Are you blowing accounts?
Oh yeah, I've blown several, several. But I'm getting better. I'm getting a lot better.
Okay, so are you blowing them because of margin?
Oh yeah, I've been my I over leveraged, but I've been learning to be more disciplined with my lot sizes. So yeah, it's been all discipline. I can see the chart, I can see the move, but it's the timing of it. Sometimes, the patience. I'm still working on the patience because I would want to pair. Like I was in the GJ trade before it even. I was in that like 2 days before the drop, and my patience just wouldn't allow me to stay in. But I had it. I had it the right way. I have all my trades the right way. I just probably jump out of them early because of my patience.
Your mismanagement. So maybe what you need more than anything is rules. Maybe, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I have to be more disciplined to my own rules.
Just so write your rules down. And if you want to come back 2 weeks from now and say, okay, Jenny, here's the system I'm choosing to use. Here's the tools I'm choosing to set myself free or my family free, right? Here's my
Mhm.
rules. Go over them with me. I will personally go over your rules with you. Like, and we can tweak them every so many weeks to say, okay, so how did you do with them? What was your accuracy? What was your pip count? But if you don't use them, they're still useless.
So far, the 415 works best for me. I just want to have another time frame in my arsenal outside of the 415, just in case there's not a 415 there. I like the 30-minute. I've been trying to, kind of see how Uncle P sees it. But again, I'm a little. I just don't have my confidence up when prices like ranging or consolidating or in the middle. I'm just not comfortable placing a trade there just yet.
Okay, so wait a minute. If you like the 415, do you know what your accuracy is with the 415 strategy?
I haven't been keeping an accurate journal, but since I've taken it serious, I'm about three wins, 3 wins out of the four I've taken.
Okay. We need a bigger case study, right?
Right.
So maybe before you go, Bruce Lee said it better than Jenny does, but he said something along the lines of he didn't practice 10,000 kicks and become the best martial artist in the world. He practiced one kick 10,000 times, and that's how he became what he became. So before you go try to learn everybody else's mumbo jumbo under the sun, maybe if you like the 415, then honor it long enough to go get me a batch of 25 trades, okay?
Mhm.
25 trades is going to tell me, do you like this strategy enough that your eyes see it? Like, do you, because I'm not even talking about wins and losses at this point. I mean, do your eyes see that strategy well enough to be able to do it again and again and again? Because that could be your everything. Like, and there's no way to know that if you took 4 trades on this and then you want you have the 4 hour set at one, you're pretty much getting a candle you're probably getting in a candle close to every alert if you've got that sucker set at one, like maybe every 3 candles. If you get a big range, you might have skipped 4 or 5, but then you get one here, 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 here. If you got it set at one, you're getting one pretty much almost every fractal.
I only really listen for the 415. I only said it. The pair that I'm looking at, I'll have it on the chart and I'll have that one trend, but it's the 415 strategy. So I'm just kind of, I'll see the early entry on my one trend, but I'll wait till I get my 30 to my 13 trend arrow, and then I'll know it's official. But yeah, I just kind of utilize the two together to see how accurate it is. So far, it's been good, but I'm not too big on reversals because, man, you don't know how far it's going to drop before that thing reverses back. So I want to get more to trend trading with the trend versus, these 415 reversals. Because like I said, if you set that take profit a little too long and that thing turns around on you, all your profit is gone.
Well, here's a few tips for you, okay, before we get off. Number one, you need use a trailing stop or use some kind of a trade manager. So I hope you're writing this down. Number
Okay.
have your first target set at half of the ADR. If you want to, if you're on the 1 hour, half of the ADR. If you're less than the 1 hour, go even smaller. Okay, use a third of the ADR. If you're on the 30-minute, if you're on the 15-minute, you can even use 25%. If you've seen any of my compounding sheets, you can make 6 figures with 10 pips. Okay, don't
Right.
think it's pips. Remember that it's not the pips you gain. Yes, it's obviously attractive to see 10,000 pips. That's an attractive thing, right? It's appealing to the masses. But even if you only got 1 pip consistently, you can make an insane amount of money, like yacht money. Okay, not that I promote that. I'm more into realism, but you can make yacht
Right.
1 pip. Okay, it's the
Hmm.
skill set that you're trying to hone in on. So the skill set is only going to come when you have rules to back it up.
Okay. Yeah, I appreciate you kind of giving me that perspective because it's a lot to take in. There's a lot going on these charts and these time frames.
Well, welcome. I'm glad that you're here. Stay the course long enough to, again, at least get good at one thing before you bounce around. I don't care what that one thing is. It doesn't have to be my way. It doesn't have to be the 415. You might find that you love the 30, or you might find that the 1 hour is good. But I will tell you, please turn off the one setting alerts because that is just insanity senselessly because it's giving you nothing. The reality is you were probably going to check that chart like a fiend 20 times anyways without those alerts. So give yourself some peace of mind, set yourself a schedule. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
trade in that schedule. If there's moves that happen outside of it, it's okay. You weren't working at that time. Office hours, baby. We need office hours. Okay, this is a business. It will pay you like one if you treat it like one. Okay.
That's facts. You're right. I'm getting there. I'm getting there.
All right, awesome. So I will go over Ripple, guys, for the last thing, and then I'm gonna hop off. I'm super being controlled with my time today, mostly because. Okay, so Ripple. I'm still in this beautiful kind of double bottom formation. We pushed up, we're currently pushing down on the 15 and the 30. We're not quite breaking that fractal yet in terms of the sell moves. Let's go down to a smaller time frame to see this a little more clearly. I'm going to zoom in past the smiley faces so we can see it. But I'm still waiting for the breakout. We don't yet have it. Bottom line, we just don't have it. And that's, to be expected. We can't always control, even when we're right in this industry, like we're right in the direction, like we just talked about, Myron, you can still lose a boatload of money from mismanagement. So that's key, clearly. But 1 hour time frame Ripple. I'm waiting for this to kind of break. If you need a breaking point, you can say anywhere around here, 1.0255. I would be buying. I wouldn't even wait for this. I'd wait for this to kind of finish retesting it, come back all the way down to here even. Lord forbid it does. It's still pushing down, so we shall see. But I'm waiting for this kind of confirmed buy. We don't have one yet. And this is not just based off of simplicity. This is based off of structure as well as fundamental analysis. I'm waiting on this to kind of continue to buy up. Quite a few, such as Dogecoin, went up a lot today. I don't know exactly what. It went up like how many percent? I don't want to give you a wrong percentage and do bad math in public, but an awful lot. So I'm waiting for a big move on this, guys. I'm waiting to get all the way back up to 0.147, 0.141 before we see any major drop. So that's a lot of pips. When and how that happens, we can't predict that. We can't guarantee it. Everybody wants to be the person that does. I'm not going to be that guru. I'm just going to simply say loose trading terms, stop loss below structure. I'm trading this, I'm buying this. Period. End of story. All the things it does in the middle is not something I freak out about. It's not something I care about. It's not something I'm going to worry about. It's not something I'm going to lose my patience about. And I'm busy tomorrow, so I'm probably not even going to check my chart tomorrow. Well, I might in the morning, let me be more honest, but I'm not going to look the rest of the day because I'm busy. So having said that, this is one of those that I'm going to let play out. If I get an alert, I get an alert, Myron, on literally 4 or 5 pairs, the indices and then Ripple. GU I turn on and off sometimes depending on what's happening there, or gold I turn on and off depending on what's happening there. But that's the only alerts I get, and then I try to turn them off when I'm not actively working, or I'm not like wanting to be caught up in my charts or my company. So
I agree.
that is that.
Mhm.
Okay, guys, we've got all those written down. We've got a few calls worth of history. So that's enough for tonight. This is recorded for better and for worse. We'll say them again. Hey, Jenny, what was the name of the motivational recording you were playing before class? Terrence, let me drop it before I lose it. Hold on. Let's find out together. I have a whole list. I have a whole playlist. You want the playlist? So, destroying self-doubt. Let me share this one with you. Copy. I got quite a few playlists. You want to know my soul? You'd have to see all those playlists. Things I listen to while I sleep, right? And the whole playlist is here. And look, some of these might not be where you're at. Some of these might be, you're above it, you're below it. It's not important. But I listen to this on occasion, and I hear things that I didn't hear the first time. It's a really awesome, I feel like it's a really awesome way to be, is to, when you go back or your head's a mess, or when you're just trying to find your next level, when you're trying to find this one. There we go. So we're going to share this one. You hear things differently depending on where you're at in life. So here's the whole big long stream. So I either use my lift me up songs before classes, or I use this playlist for all of my motivations. And when I find one I really like, I usually put it in here too. So everything. Just sometimes you're at different places. I love Tyler Perry, obviously. Some of these shouldn't be in here. They're just accidentally in there. I'm human too. But they're really good. They're mostly really, really good. Y'all can see this, right?
Yeah, we see your beaver fever.
Don't make fun of me, Derek. I really should edit this. I better edit this. We even have our famous pastor. Hey guys, if you're not subscribed to Relation Shots on YouTube, please go hit him up. He is an awesome pastor. He's trying to grow his YouTube and he's trying to make a difference, right? We all know that picking wrong is one of the most financially devastating things you can do. Learning to date properly, learning to honor your spouse, it's a big deal. So he's got a whole channel. It's called Relation Shots. Please go subscribe to his channel. He puts out like 2 or 3 videos a week, and they're mostly pretty good. Like his standards in terms of stuff are really, really good. So back to this: Abraham Hicks, everything from Steve Harvey, everything you can think of, from meditation. Joe Dispenza, he's my favorite. Now that I just sent this to you, I might want to take out the accidental songs that shouldn't be in here. That's a song that shouldn't be in here. I might have listened to it, or maybe the kids had the phone and accidentally, like, somebody thumbed it to the wrong thing. She's awesome.
Blame it on the children.
Yeah, well, they don't use my phone as much anymore, but it has happened. Believe it or not, my children can use my phone and everything, but they can't touch my YouTube. It's a thing with me. Like my YouTube is sacred to me because it has all my, has the stuff I listen to when I sleep. It has like my Joe Dispenza, my Abraham Hicks, my favorite motivationals. It has my favorite audiobooks, trading stuff, workouts, beauty, line dances, like everything I want to know is in a folder. Some of it's public, most of it's I guess most of these folders are public. Some of them are private. Like my version of Happy Love Songs, I haven't got that on here. So everything about me. They can't mess with my YouTube. Derek, if my youngest comes on my YouTube, I'm gonna have anime on here. I'm gonna have the worst possible things in the world. I can't have that. I just can't. So.
Yeah, I like anime.
Oh, you can come hang out with Noah. Okay, y'all get along just
Yeah.
fine. All right, last questions. I have been trying to swing trade for a while in the 4 hour, but still don't seem to get it right. Prince, if you don't mind, ask me that next Tuesday. And if you guys would like, we can go over the 4 hour. I will say that even prior to COVID, I was in love with the 4 hour. Again, because this is a reversal system and I'm using the confirmed move, I'm just telling you logistically speaking, once I get the confirmed move, it's either almost A, the pullback, right, which is a ton of drawdown, or B, the pullback that just happened, has a continuation, therefore you lose the trade. So as a reversal system, I feel like this strategy is better on the 3 hour, the 30 minute, the 1 hour. I'm not very well versed in the 415 thing, but my understanding is it's really good. So that's my opinion. And that is what I found to be true also with the triple arrow system is the 4 hour. I kept trying to want to go to it and I would have some success, but overall my highest, most consistent success was still using the 1 hour, or maybe the 1 hour in the same direction as the 4 hour, but it was still the 1 hour across the board. So Jessica, I'm not sure who you're referencing in that, but if you tell me, direct message me, whose name? What are the two moving averages on the chart? On that chart, it just has a 50 and a 250 on that chart. Jessica, the pastor's name is Eric. Oh, I'm a bad friend. Who? Anybody's got his last name? I forget. Let's see. Relation shots. Watch me not know his name. Still don't know it, but this is it. So this is his channel.
Looks like you run a boot camp. Give me 50.
You can't miss this face, okay? And most of his stuff is pretty good, guys. Like he talks about some, hey Derek, right up your alley. He talks about some um definitely conflicting, controversial stuff, but he's a rock star, so
Hey,
doing it.
see, he's giving gang signs too, huh? 3 fingers, huh?
Hey Derek. I don't think Barbara's on here. Barbara, are you still there? Oh dear God.
Yes, I'm here.
Okay. Okay.
Where's Don? We need Donna.
I know. I was like, "Not still on here." Guys, she's doing great things though. So other than Derek is lovely, lovely, lovely indiscretions, y'all have my YouTube channel stuff. If you're not subscribed to mine either, please do so. I hope that he doesn't mind. I'm pretty sure he won't that I gave him a shout out. That is enough for today. Please track these trades. I hope that everybody has an incredible week, and I will talk to you guys in the group on Thursday. Hey, Derek, good night, everybody.